Hey everybody, this is a video that's going to start about the student loan forgiveness, and then it's just going to land in a completely strange place. Not like people who stay on track with their line of thoughts and people who aren't as tangential as I am in how I think about things, but welcome back, everybody. Agent of Doubt here. World's worst SJW, and I'm really kind of bored by the discussion that has taken hold of the internet this past week, which is about student loan forgiveness, because the debate has been going on for a very, very long time. It's just now that Biden has put into place this program that, he's announced it, that, conservatives are all in an uproar, and, there's a target to attack, that's tangible. Before this, I guess, we just didn't really think that, those of us who are a little bit on the progressive side, we didn't think that any of our politicians would actually make it this far. So, a lot of people's defense of the student loan forgiveness is not as polished, but I'm seeing a lot of good defenses, along with just the gay people who are struggling, need money. There's all sorts of descriptions of the predatory loan practices. There's descriptions of how the compounding interest affects people such that they pay for that tuition many times over by the time they actually pay off all of their loan. And so, for me, one of the things that really hits home is when people talk about how people who have had a bankruptcy, such as I have, after having that student loan debt, because of a certain conservative politician signing this into law, we are not able to discharge that particular debt. Although you could discharge all of the other things that you took a risk on and lost money on. If you had a business and it failed, then you can discharge that debt, and that's actually what I did do. But your student loan debt, that sticks, because we're going to protect those institutions that like to give money to student loans and take money back from people for the rest of their lives, and basically, anyways, create a vehicle by which people are paying for the rest of their lives for their education. And not even really their education, because you could learn this shit from books. You could watch YouTube videos. I mean, technology has gotten to the point where everyone pretty much has the entire Library of Alexandria at their fingertips with their phone. I mean, you're paying for a piece of paper that says that you have learned in a certain way and paid money into a system by which you got a piece of paper that says you know a little bit, at least what they prescribed for you to know, or maybe you just sat and got butt time in a chair and checked a box, because a lot of my even university education amounted to that, and I won't even try to defend some of the things that I had to go through just to get my degree that I did not feel were really furthering my education. My master's program was a lot more on point, and I can defend that a lot better, but some of the things that I learned in my bachelor's program were really out there and far from educational and not the point. Anyways, all this to say, the way that they treat student debt differently than other debts with bankruptcy, to me, puts it in a special category. It especially touches me in that way. Also, the fact that we use it as a recruitment tool for people getting into the military. I was one of those people as well. I used the GI Bill, and I used every goddamn cent of it during the time that I got my undergrad degree. I went and drew every month that was available to me. It was a really good plan. Except the fact that it took years out of my life during the prime of my life that I maybe should have been doing other things, which, well, it has had a cascading effect in my life to this day. People, if you look at like the prime time to be starting a family, that's when you are in the military. And my experience in the military was very not conducive to getting a start on those things in that part of my life. So I think that I was trading away part of my life for my education, whereas in other countries they don't hold your education over your head with the carrot of you could get this degree if you just join our military. No, they make education free. But if we're ever going to get to the liberal dream of having free education for everyone in our country, it's going to start with the step of Biden forgiving $10,000 of student loan debt for everyone who still has debt. And when we finally get to the point of discharging all student debts, then we might be able to revamp our education system, not just with, paying for the same type of education we have been doing, but perhaps moving more towards something akin to the Google certificates or Microsoft's A+ certifications, where you actually have to know your shit in order to be certified, instead of being able to come from a rich family and check a box and get butt time in a chair. And that's what scares conservatives the most, is the idea that we're going to upend our class system. They like the class system, even when it doesn't work in their favor. They like the fact that it exists, and they're defending it. And here, they love that the burden for education falls on the individual person, to the point where it's actually been restrictive in successive decades, more restrictive to get that education. They will, starting with Reagan, pull funding from arts programs and education programs and make that cost be borne more on the students, and then say, oh, well, back in my day, we could work a part-time job at the carnival over our summertime and we could pay for our education. Well, that's not the fucking case now. You could work full-time like I did and go to school full-time like I did at the same time and still not be able to pay off all of your student tuition in the same year that you're working. You might have to borrow like I did. And for the millennials, it's even worse. Compare the prevailing rates for minimum wage in their city, and even a little bit above a minimum wage, because We can't even count on minimum wage to be the minimum. It's actually lost its meaning in my city because people are demanding better wages anyway, and it's working, and wages have gone up. But compare what they can make versus the tuition they'd have to pay, and they wouldn't be able to live. It takes a lot to pay for your education. So it takes a lot to pay for everything. The housing market is out of control, and no millennial is going to be able to own a house with things the way that they are. The wealth has been sucked out of everything to the point where people have been left impoverished, and something's got to give. And here's where the tangent gets really strong. I was talking with a friend the other night, and I came up with an idea for an app for your phone, right? And this app is going to be powered by algorithms and AI, and it's just going to be a sharing economy app. It's going to be socialism in an app where the app will tell you in the morning, hey, could you set out all of your glass jars on your front porch that you're not using this morning? And then you set 5 jars on your porch that you had from eating pickles. And then somebody else will be told by the app, hey, could you go down the street and collect all the jars and put them at the last house on the corner so that somebody else can, when they're doing their bigger pickup, get them easier. And then the app is going to logistically create a sharing economy where it's going to be both predictive and responsive to people's needs. And it is going to basically be opt-in, and it's going to want to take a picture of your garage. And through an algorithm, it's going to spot things in your garage that you're not using. And it's going to ask you, hey, would you mind giving up that bicycle that you haven't been riding for 2 years that's been in your garage? Because we have somebody else who needs a bicycle. And then you're like, well, yeah, I guess I can spare that. Go ahead. And poof, somebody shows up and asks, to get the bike, and then they take it to the person who needs it. And there's only little amounts of effort that people are asked to give, and usually it's tied to exercise. You tell it what exercise time you want. I'm going to give up my hour from 7 to 8 in the morning, and whatever you tell me to do, pick up something and put it somewhere, I'm going to do it. And then, strangely, your neighbor shows up with peach cobbler, because the app knows that you like peach cobbler, and it's just trying to rearrange all of the excess that everyone has in their house. And the neighbor says, yeah, the app said that I was supposed to give you this much peach cobbler because that was my portion of the sharing economy. And this app is going to be really, really freaking invasive, right? It's going to know how many shirts you own in your closet, because it's gonna want you to take a picture of your closet. It's gonna want to know all these things about the drawer of doom that people like me have, where all the shit that you can't figure out where you want to put it, it goes in your drawer of doom in the kitchen, batteries, lighters, birthday candles, extra screws and bolts and nuts and stuff. It's going to take a picture of all of that, right? It'll ask you, take a picture of that. And then when a factory downtown is running low on a certain type of bolt, it's going to remember all of the different drawers that people have at home with those extra nuts and bolts, and it's going to have everybody set them out on the porch so somebody can go pick them all up and take them to the factory and restock the factory and get paid from the factory. And it's actually going to, through all of this sharing economy, probably generate a little bit of a profit, which it's going to give back to those people who opt into it, right? And then when the people opt in, they get signed up for a share by being part of this network, a share of the profits. And that we're going to call Universal Socialism App Basic Income. And it's going to grow as the app grows, because it's going to be good at investing, because it's going to use algorithms on investing strategies. But also, you know, some of what you get as a benefit is going to be peach cobbler. So, or somebody else's leftover deck stain because you ran out and you just told the app, hey, I wish I had a little bit more deck stain. And then all of a sudden deck stain shows up on your porch and the app says, hey, open your door. But the real kicker here, and it's going to, tying this back to all of these social programs like forgiving student loan debt, it's going to be divisive on party lines, because all the liberals are going to opt into the Socialism AI app. And all the conservatives are going to consider it the mark of the beast and say that shit is communism. Don't let a fucking computer run your life. That's evil. Right? Meanwhile, the rest of us are going to be enjoying our peach cobbler. That's all for today. Let me know if you have any ideas that would refine the algorithm, because the algorithm's probably, when it does come online, it's going to find my video, listen to all the ideas that I had for it, and then it's probably going to read the comments, and then it's going to assimilate all of those ideas in order to make itself serve humanity better. So if you leave any comments, it's not just for me, mind you. AI is watching. So take care, and everybody to each their own cobbler. I hope your neighbor is a good pastry chef.